Alright guys, so this is my first time ever making a leather holster or holster in general for a 1911. More specifically, this is a custom to Kimber 45. Enjoy and just wait till the end with the finish. Alright, so we are making a Kimber 1911 holster here. Got my leather cut out for right side. I'm going to put some, I found putting on antiquing gel on the inside. It dries fast and it actually has a darker finish. You'll see here in a second. As you can see, it doesn't penetrate all the way through. Got some on the other side, but it also makes a nice smooth finish, and it dries relatively quick. I've only had this on there for about 30 seconds, but that's what I typically try to do when I on the split side of the leather, try to get a good coloration and not use a bunch of dye. Alright guys, so I've marked out basically my stitch line and pre-marked the holes. I also want to show you guys the firearm is unloaded. There's nothing in the chamber, no mag. Anytime you're handling firearms, regardless if you're making holsters or whatever, be safe. Got a pretty good stretch on there. As you can see, I got my holes marked out. Now it's just time to get to work. Alright, so I got my finish side holes punched, and how I'm doing the other side, I'm actually putting my stylus tool through and just making indents into the leather. The reason why I'm not pinching these two together is because I found when you do that, you can be kind of uneven on both sides, and I was trying to go for as good as finish as I could. I said this is my first holster, and I was able to stamp these out no problem. And I'm actually doing this in a this is about 140 frames per second, so I'm doing this a lot faster than what I actually did. Wish that was in real life, but it worked out great. Both sides are relatively even. That's done. And what you'll see here is I removed some material from the bottom and the finish side and the back side. Now the back side I'm trying to keep as straight as possible, but did some beveling. Got the holes punched on both sides very even and consistent, which was awesome. Now this is the most important part about this holster, is the belt loop. I'm doing it about 2 inches from the belt. I'm going to be double stitching the lines, just kind of marking out where I'm going to do, but this is a very important part because this is actually the mechanism of how the firearm is pulled out of the holster and snaps back in. Alright, now this is extremely important. I'm making a right-handed holster. If I were to cut this out as it was, it would be for a left hand. Make sure you're always making your patterns facing the right way. If not, you're going to have to cut 2 pieces. Alright, now I got my holes pre-marked. Oh my goodness, I need to clean that thing off. Voiceover's fun, you know, but cutting leather is messy business sometimes. I'm double stitching my lines to make it strong. That's what the fist was for earlier, by the way. But again, good old voiceover. And you can kind of see a little line. Basically trace that out with my stylus of where I'm going to be putting that. The guy that this is going to wants it riding right at the hip, and that's what I'm going to give him. Now it's time for a little bit more shaping. I removed a little bit more material, did some beveling. As I said in the previous part, is I marked out some stuff, pre-selecting my holes. I'm actually going to have to use my 3-hole stamp for this, or punch for this. As I said, I'm going to be marking out my holes pre. Now what I mean by the 3-hole stamp, I'm actually going to do that to the holster. I'm going to be able to punch this out with my, I guess, hole punch? Leather hole punch? Yeah, I've been making leather stuff for years, and I kind of just make up my own terminology sometimes. But again, this is why voiceover is fun. And I went way too high on this, as you'll see, but for the fit and finishes you're going to see at the end here, I think it really just gives it a little bit of an accent of job well done. All the hole punching is done. Went way too high on the actual belt part, but as you'll see, it worked out. And boom, there she is. Now it's time to stitch this son of a gun up. I'm actually going to wet this thing down before I do it to help stretch the leather, as you can see there. And before I do that, there is one more step. I'm actually going to put some slow drying cement there, trying to avoid where the gun's going to go to help form a little better when I do water forming. And about 45 minutes later, I got this son of a gun stitched up. Get it? Son of a gun? Gun? Holster? Yeah. Anyways. So this is double stitched. And this part and this part on up is triple stitched. Super tight fit, I'll show you. Next is water forming and letting it sit for about 6-7 hours. Gun is super snug, so I'm gonna wet this down and water form it really fast and get the water off of the gun. This is a very nice and expensive Kimber. Water forming is fun, but take your time. What I'm using there is a stylus spoon. I actually use it to smooth out my bevels on my leather tooling. It's a great little tool. You just want to smooth it out and rough the edges a little bit. You may have to do this a couple times. So soak it, form it, let it dry, soak it again. But all in all, it came out pretty good. Now it's time for a little bit of show and tell. Well, not really tell, but show. Put that clamp there, it helped really just smooth down that edge and make the trigger a little bit tighter. But that's what we got so far. It's not looking too shabby here. You'll see in a second a little bit of a, again, show and tell, slow-mo preview. And on to the next step of finishing it up. So we're at the final stages of the holster. All I've got to do left here is take this to the sander, you're going to see here in a second, and just clean up the edges here a little bit. Go back inside. I'm going to put one more light coat on the leather here and focus a little bit more of the dye on the parts where I water formed it, make it maybe pop a little bit. Then we just got to stain the edges, or not the edges, whatever you want to call it, and put the snaps in and burn the initials in for the person this is going to, and seal with Rosaline. Now you can do this with just sandpaper. It takes a little bit more time, but if you choose to use a machine, a belt sander like this, I use this for my knives. Really check your work and watch your lines. You don't want to grind into a stitch line, because guess what, then you got to start all over. And even though those are really fun, that can be super frustrating. So always check your work. Also, you don't want to press too hard because you will burn the edges, and it doesn't look right, and it really doesn't smell good. There we have it. It's all cleaned up. Edges are cleaned up. Believe it or not, I actually have, it looks like I got really close to the edge. That's just the knot that I tied in the sinew, artificial sinew. Anyway, so let's go to the next part. Alright, so I got the final layer of stain on there. I need to take this, dye. On the leather, did some Rosaline, so what's next, what you're going to see is me doing the edge knotting, or it's just really dyeing the edges here, cleaning up some areas where I need some touch up, putting the snaps in, and then burning in the initials of the person this is going to, putting my maker's mark on the back with my signature by it, and I only do that for people that personally know me, and this is going to someone that's had a huge impact on my life. But anyways, and then doing one more final coat of Rosaline on there to seal everything all up, and we're done. Here we go. A little bit of a pro tip: if you put Rosaline or any type of finisher before you do your edge work, you can wipe it off if you get some stain on the other side or not, or whatever. Generally works all the time, but it worked for me. Well guys, as I said, I made it snappy, and it snaps. The snappy snaps. Alright, so give you the general concept. I'll show you with the gun actually in the holster in a little bit here. But you just thumb it, pull it, bang. So all that's left is I got to put the initials right here. The person is going to, my maker's mark which is the Colorado Custom Leather and Blades brand, and my initials because it is somebody that I personally know, and that's the only ones I really do that for, or for a special occasion. So stay tuned for the, I guess, burning. I know I'm supposed to do leather tooling, but it's fun to change it up every now and then. I love pyrography, and once I saw that you can really burn leather more consistently for smaller details, it's a lot better of an avenue to go down. Alright guys, looking pretty nice. I got the initials right there. It works well with where the snap line is going to be. You can still see the initials, and then I got my brand there, or maker's mark. It's more like a brand with my initials right there. Super fun project. I'm going to be making one for my personal carry here. I'm a lefty, so I'll make a lefty holster, even though I can carry both. But you know what? Let's try this thing on, shall we? Hold on. Yeah, I'm digging that. So how the snap works is you literally just go snap, bang. Yeah, this is a nice holster. Truth be told, huge Longmire fan, and I was like, dude, I want to make a water-formed holster. And so I was asking my buddy who's like a father figure to me, I was like, dude, let me make you one. He's like, okay. So he gave me his best pistol to make him a holster for, and there we have it. If you want one made, go to the Facebook page. There's links. I got an Etsy, all that fun stuff. Like, share, subscribe. Thanks, guys.